Namaste. Greetings, everyone. Welcome. So delighted to be here. My name is Todd Norian, founder of Ashaya Yoga, and I have the privilege of being with Randy Boyd, who's a licensed Ashaya Yoga teacher, yoga therapist, certified yoga therapist, and anatomy expert. And we're here to talk about the Ashaya anatomy immersion, and in particular, the yogic wisdom of radiant aging. And there's been, a lot of talk recently and also in the past about how yoga makes you younger, more youthful, and actually reverses the aging process. Well, I thought I would ask the expert and just see, is that really true? And how does that happen? And so, Randy, I pose that question to you. How is this yogic wisdom for radiant aging pertinent to us? And is it a reality? Does it actually work?
Well, yes, it really does. But let me comment on something else first. So it's interesting, Todd. I don't know if you noticed it, but recently there's been some pushback around this term of anti-aging, as if aging is a bad thing, and around products and methods that reverse this, like it's a bad thing. And personally, I relish the wisdom and maturity and contentment that aging brings, but also realize that I have to work a little harder and have a little more knowledge to be able to keep my physical body vibrant and vital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really a radical shift. I mean, to actually embrace our aging process rather than thinking like to reverse the aging process. It's almost like a negative thing. Oh, aging is really bad. We don't want to do that. But hey, it's the only for sure thing that's happened. I mean, once we're born, we are actually heading on a trajectory towards demise, we could say, at the end. So I love that idea of how to accept and embrace and actually appreciate this process. And you mentioned yogic wisdom, and say more about that.
Well, just that. Well, first of all, there is another alternative to aging, and I don't like that. And we're all aging at the same rate. So when I talk about yogic wisdom, I'm talking about using knowledge. There's like three paths of yoga: bhakti yoga, yoga of the heart, karma yoga, yoga of action. But dhyana yoga is the yoga of knowledge, of information. And if we apply the knowledge of how the body works as we age and then practice that's the action, then we'll age. Well, I won't even say gracefully, we'll age with vibrancy and vitality.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. And that's really a shift from saying aging gracefully. Like, yeah, we kind of want to do that, but I don't know, you just inspired me. I want to feel more radiant. And I have to tell you, through my yoga practice, and like last summer was my best biking season, like just in terms of my aerobic capacity and my endurance. I don't know what happened, but I think it's because I've been doing so much core work in my teaching and my practice that I had like the best season sort of physically last summer. So I don't know, maybe aging with more radiance is a reality.
Yeah, I think so. And personally, for me, in my 20s and 30s, I went for several decades with a lot of back pain and joint pain, and I don't have that anymore. And it's because I have applied like nature's order in this anatomy, in this practice, and Ashaya Yoga applies this knowledge in the method itself. And so there's this term, frailty syndrome, that's been in the medical literature for decades, that describes the body's natural tendency to decline. And it starts about age 35. And what's interesting is, so from birth through adolescence into early adulthood, the body's on an upswing.
Right.
We build more muscle mass and strength, our bone mass increases, we gain balance, we gain agility, our reflexes get better. And then somewhere around the age of 35, depending on a number of factors, including heredity and how much we use the body, when we were younger, there's a slow decline. And that's why you see like professional athletes, somewhere 32, 35, some of them maybe 40, their career's over because they lose that strength and quickness and reflexes.
Yeah.
So what's cool about it, it's like a wave. We're born, our body functions kind of go up, and then at some point they go down, but they start to decline. But we can use yoga to slow that decline, or at times even reverse it. I feel like I've reversed it in my body.
Wow. That's great. I wonder if you're able to say like how that happens. I mean, I have ideas about the sort of the therapeutic value of Ashaya yoga, but would love to hear your perspective.
Describe in a little more detail what frailty syndrome is. So first of all, sarcopenia is the loss of muscle mass that starts happening around the age of 35. And when we start to lose our muscle mass, we start to lose our bone density. Of course, we've all heard the term of osteopenia or osteoporosis, and we may not ever lose enough bone density to where we get to that stage, but our bones are becoming a little more brittle as we age. There's a nervous system decline that begins about the age 35, and I'm not talking about memory. It's motor nerves, and motor nerves are what fire the muscles, and they're the first thing to go. And that's why athletes start to lose their strength and their quickness about age 35.
Yeah.
And then balance, oh my gosh, balance in the medical world, it's become a new diagnostic tool in medicine, the predictor of overall health. People's ability to stand on one leg for 10 seconds is used to predict like blood pressure, cardiac health, brain functioning, because there's so many things in the body that have to work when you stand on one foot, independent of your physical strength. There's so many things. And then we also lose lung capacity. We start losing our lung capacity slowly over time. And of course, arthritic changes, especially in the spine and the larger joints, begin to take shape. But what's so cool about an alignment-based yoga, particularly Ashaya yoga, part of the method is we engage our muscles so that we can expand. And this is called eccentric contraction, where a muscle both contracts and lengthens at the same time. And this eccentric contraction of engaging our muscles and then going into a full range of motion. It's used, it's a therapy for osteoporosis, for healthy tendons, or ligament, for tendon injuries, ligament injuries. So there's one way this style of yoga really helps to reverse aging.
Yeah. Randy, can I just interject something here? I want to sort of take us into orbit for a second. What Randy just said is actually the embodiment of the philosophy behind Ashaya yoga, which is that we are both limited and unlimited. We're both the individual self and this expanded universal self. It's one of the things I try to like bring out in my teaching actually is, hey, we're all human and we're all God, like all at the same time. So when you said that you engage the muscle while you expand it, it's like, wow, the two aspects. It's sort of like both and. We embrace that we are limited, but without these limitations, we would never experience the difference when we get free of them. We experience the limitless quality of our consciousness. And That's that inspires me so much. So, okay, I digress. Please continue.
Well, no, I love that, because what really gets me excited about the anatomy, the science, is it really does line up with tantric yoga philosophy,
Mm,
and that's really exciting for me.
mm,
So I mentioned the nervous system decline, how the motor nerves start to decline. And in yoga, we talk a lot about strength and probably even more about flexibility. But one of the key things that we need to talk about more, that Ashaya yoga really does, is muscle activation. What happens when our motor nerves stop firing those muscles go offline, and then the other muscles uh, try to they try to make up for that muscle going offline. So they work too hard and go into spasm, then we have pain.
mm,
So, in Ashaya yoga, we'll say things like, really refine things like hug your shoulder blades onto your back. Well, what we're doing there is we're creating that neural pathway between our brain and our rhomboids. And there's many, many other examples of that. And so that's another reason why Ashaya yoga is such a great
mm.
thing.
That's really wonderful, and it reminds me that there's so many incredible details. It's complex, like in the Ashaya method,
Yeah.
and I call it sometimes. I'll say, take the inner edge of your sitting bone to the outer heel of that leg, and then the outer edge of the front sitting bone to the inner heel of the front leg in standing poses. And it's like you have to turn on your internal GPS locator, like to really kind of like where's that point that he just said? And what I often do is we take time to point out, well, bring your awareness from this point, here, check it out, feel it, put your touch it, and then it goes to the outer heel, and we start to bring our mind and our awareness into these ribbons or energy cables of interaction, which activate the muscles. And when you said muscular activation, that's exactly what we're doing in the method. And you're saying that increases the motor nerve
Well,
reactions.
the reason we can't fire those muscles is because we haven't fired them before. There's no neural pathway. So I remember when I first started doing this, you would say, turn your thighs in. And like at first, I would put the intention there, and I don't know if I was really feeling it, but that intentionality is the way you get those muscles to fire. And at first, it's just an intention, but
Mm,
then they begin to fire,
mm,
and that's so important,
mm. That's
especially as we age, because we're going to lose that ability. If we don't use it, we're going to lose it, and as we age, we're going to lose it at a faster rate if we don't use it.
yeah. That's really fascinating, Randy. Well, in the couple minutes we have left, I wanted to ask you if yogic wisdom for radiant aging, can it be started earlier than 35? When you said that age at 35, it starts to decline. What about, are there things we can do
Yeah,
before that age bracket
yeah,
um,
yeah.
to slow down the decline even more?
Before I answer that, let me briefly mention two other things.
Okay.
The focus on the breath. We instead of losing lung capacity, we gain it. And we also have arthritic changes, especially in our spine. And Ashaya yoga of establishing and maintaining the four curves of the spine really addresses that. Now, to your question about what if you're 20 or 30, why would you need to know this? Because the more muscle mass you build when you're younger, the stronger your bones are when you're younger, the more motor neural pathways you build as you're younger, and the more you begin to align your spine as you're younger, then when you do reach that age of decline, you're going to have the skills to where it doesn't decline as quickly. And you're going to have bigger muscles. So it takes a lot longer to decline. So I think it's something that's valuable to everybody of all ages.
Yeah, it definitely is. And thank you, Randy. That's fascinating. And we need to end in a second, but is there sort of any last thoughts you wanted to put out there before we close?
One quick thing. I want to teach you how to use the knowledge of anatomy to create, maintain, and sustain a radiant, vibrant, and vital body as you age.
That's so beautiful and so valuable. We all want that. So thanks for joining us. And if you would like to learn more, then I invite you guys to come to the Ashaya Yoga Anatomy Immersion, which is a 20-hour course. And it's starting this coming Monday, March 6th. There's a few sessions like Monday night sessions. And then there's a big weekend coming up. I forget exactly the date. It's in, when is that, Randy? I think it's in
Weekend, the 25th, 24th, I'd have to have in calendar. It's the third weekend in March.
Third weekend in March, right? And that'll be a 15 hours. So 20 hours included. And starting actually yesterday, each of the sessions are now open for individual registration. So let's say you can't make all the sessions, but you can come to an individual session. So go online to see what the schedule is, and you'll see the date and then which topics, which body parts, even what's the curriculum that Randy's going to discuss. And you can go to ashayayoga.com and just look at trainings, and you'll find the anatomy training right there. And you know, this course, Randy, it's not only helpful for yoga practitioners and yoga teachers, but all levels of body workers to come and understand sort of the mechanics of how the body works, and then these concepts of sort of the eccentric contraction and why that's such a good thing for the body. And like you said, maintaining and sustaining not just survival health, but to actually really thrive in radiant health. So, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us. Randy, thank you so much. It's always a delight to talk to you, and I look forward to next time. Take care.